Okay, so we are live and just a second. All right, we are live and I'm just starting my recording and also going to share my presentation with you. There we go. All right, we are live and I'm just starting my recording and also going to share my presentation with you. Stop this, mute this, and tell you guys a hi. Welcome to Unlocking Emotional Mastery, and we are on day 32. We are going deeper and wider in the topic of creativity. That is your right brain skill. And where exactly can you be creative, and how exactly can you creatively approach problems or any transactions in life, at work, as a leader, as a parent, as a business person, as a student. All right. So by now, if you have been watching my episodes, you now know that we are developing emotional intelligence through brain talents, which is essentially the left brain and right brain activation, and bringing you to the midbrain, the awareness of midbrain, and then the ability for you to manage your logic and emotion, being in the mid zone. That is where you will find your neutrality. And also, it is important for you to be flexible to blend both logic and emotion wherever it is required. Having said that, there are a couple of principles that I always insist when you're watching this 100 topics on, EQ brain skills. It is important to understand the principles behind it. First is um, we will talk about emotional quotient, raising your emotional quotient through brain talents. That is your left brain, right brain, and midbrain. So I will be giving you strategies and tips to activate all these, portion of the brain. Second thing is emotional intelligence is not something which is research driven, or which is something that you have to do a PhD to understand and all that. It is already within us. It is within us at times of adversity. It is within us at times of happiness. It is within us at times of holding integrity, right? So when we're dealing about emotions, essentially emotional intelligence is taking that emotions as data and applying the intelligence over there, so that you don't dismiss the emotions part of it. Because when you're dealing with people, um, whether you're dealing with people or not, even within you, there are emotions constantly going on. So you just cannot dismiss it. And there being, you also have to manage and have a control check, right? So you cannot let yourself lose control and explode. At the same time, you cannot suppress because it'll anyway, come out. It'll anyway manifest, but it's just a matter of time. So the more we bottle up, the more it is dangerous. And then it is important to make sure that you gain that awareness and be able to apply that in your life, at least within 24 hours. If you can pick up one or two strategies and be able to apply, then it really means that you're at least starting to rewire your brain. Because brain as a biological organ, it is like any other muscle that in your body that you're trying to exercise on it. It also takes time. So for you to rewire, maybe you are left brain driven. This is my right side, so right brain driven. So in order to exercise the left brain for the right person, the right brain driven person, it takes time for you to come towards this side. Similarly, for the extremely left driven person, it takes time for them to come to this side. It doesn't work overnight. It doesn't happen just with one episode. That is why we're talking about this for 100 episodes. By the time you keep listening, I might be grinding same and repeated points sometimes. It's just that we are picking up new skills, 30, 40 talents and skills that we will be discussing about. But the more we go wider and deeper, you will find that you can connect the dots. Some could be really repetitive strategies. Those are really powerful, realistic. And if you can just have a pattern, you will understand certain things are repeated, certain things are very new to that particular skill. So, it could be a logic strategy, or it could be the creative strategy. Either ways, you need to know both these, because we are constantly working on both these brains are activated. It is up to us which one are we putting it in use and which one is needed for what kind of situations. So having said this, let's dive into today's topic. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. And if you like any of these episodes, and if you feel that it is important that you need to share with somebody who needs this most, please feel to share it. I've shared the um, online link. In case you are watching me online, jump in and tell me a hi. I'll be more happy to see you and give you a shout out. Okay. Having said this, let's begin with today's presentation. So today we are on day 32, and we're going to be talking about how you can spark your creativity through everyday habits for bigger ideas. So we're going to be dealing about 20 to 30 strategies in this format, because by now you will know there are 6 steps that I will approach in terms of giving you the definition, pros and cons, applicability, approach, directly talking about tips, actionable tips that you can start applying, and then a case study. And what are we learning from that case study? What is the logical impact and emotional impact, and how we can fine tune looking at that successful model. And finally, some self assessment. Okay. If you stay till the episode end, you will also find some rewards which can make use of it. I mean, those are all tools for you which can make use of it, and then you can develop your emotional intelligence fast tracked. We don't have to really wait for the 100 days to get over. So hang on and enjoy the process. Today, we will be touching upon how to ignite your imagination into, bringing that creative and imagination into your daily habits. Then, how do you think bigger and bolder? And what could be the examples? Who can give us that kind of an examples of habits which can be inspiring, fresh, and innovative? So if you can apply that, it could be a hack. Never know, if you can apply that, maybe it can serve you well. Because if it's working for somebody, the hack should be working for you also. Then about boosting your problem solving skills using this creativity skills. All right. Let's talk about definition. General definition of creativity is to ability to think imaginatively in routine transactions. Life could be very normal. It could be mundane. There is no changes. It's a routine thing. Okay. Even there, you can spark that creativity. So it is not only owned by artist or professional people only. It can be done in your own routine, life also. So that being said, this is important for anybody with any role. Busy moms out there juggling with various responsibilities, or you're a stay-at-home mom, full-time taking care of your children, or you're an entrepreneur where you're dealing with dynamic situations every day, or you're a high-stake leader for your in your organization that you need to drive this creativity to an intensity that it is important. That's how your project is lined up, or the future of the company is depending on such innovation. Either which ways, or if you're a student watching this, you may not have such responsibilities or adversities in your life yet, but you may be, preparing yourself for the upcoming, your academic excellence, or you want to advance in your career. Either ways, these skills are important, and emotional intelligence is the 21st century skill set most demanded according to World Economic Forum. Okay, and it is so very true. Right after the corona pandemic, we are right now in mental health pandemic, and in case you do not know, there are lined up pandemic just looming up right there at the corner. Currently we are in mental health pandemic, and hence the need for emotional intelligence is even more. So please do like and share and subscribe so that you will get notified, and also share it with people whom you think it's going to be useful. It is out there as a free resources. Why not make use of it? Right. That being said, and let's see about how we are going to approach this left brain and right brain, aspect, because the series is, focused with applying the emotional intelligence through your left brain and right brain. We need to also understand how does your left brain looks at this skill, and how does your right brain looks at this skill. So your left brain says developing structured habits like journaling, planning, observation, that is going to feed creativity. So your left brain is actually supporting creativity, but in its own way, like having structured habits, journaling, planning, observation. Okay, these are keywords. If you think you are left brain driven, maybe these are some keywords that can connect the dots. If you think you're a right brain approach, you see how right brain is telling you you're going to use your intuition, spontaneity, and inspiration through everyday interactions and activities. This is how the right brain is approaching creativity. How nice it is, right? So taking the blend, it is taking ownership. It is not like a left brain is leaving because this is your right brain activity, I'm not involving. No, we constantly use left and right brain. It is just a matter of how much are we using which part of the brain, and how much are we applying it to see the results, and how much it is serving us or not. People with the right brain driven may or may not use the logic, but it all depends on how outcome, how successful are their outcome. Either which ways, if they are dealing with emotions, if they are dealing with people, their emotions has to be a data point for them. They just cannot dismiss. Similarly, even with they are dealing with people, it is important to lead them by logic sometimes, because otherwise you just get swayed by your own emotions and other people emotion, and it'll never come to a conclusion. It'll never be structured. It'll never be stable. At the same time, if you're too analytically driven, that you're behind with numbers and logics, there should be always a reasoning and all that for what you do, then you're going to miss the whole chunk of adventure in life, spontaneity, inspiration, that spark, that fun, that break, that relaxation. You'll miss the bigger chunk of it, and you will miss the bigger chunk of people involved in it, because people are giving you constantly the emotional data. Okay, the more we're going to talk about strategies, you will understand how to approach. Now, some advantages if you have this creativity as habit. Okay, first is consistency. Habit build momentum, and fostering continuous creativity. It is very important. The reason why we are bringing creativity as a habit, or creatively approaching your habit, is because you can build that consistency. Okay. Then spontaneous insights. Regular engagement with creative activities generate unexpected ideas. Sometimes you should be okay to give in that spontaneity. You just cannot proactively plan and anticipate all the time. You just have to go with life. Always have this buffer of 80-20 in your life. Most of the, maximum results are happening from that 20% of activities. The 80% of result is happening. And similarly, all those 80% is something that, those are something that you need to prioritize. where is your focus energy is going. So that is about Pareto principles. Similarly, for life also, have a buffer. Almost, all the 80%, all those activities in your life, you can fit in that 80% where you need structure, you need planning, you need proactivity, right? But that 20% you'll have to give in for life to happen, because that's where the spontaneity, uh, that that thrill of waiting and perseverance, endurance, all that will happen in that area. And by the way, all these are untold value system. Okay, while we are talking about skills and talents, that itself is not concrete. Like left brain could be concrete, it gives you a concrete data, but the right brain itself is intangible. You will have to read between the lines, right? And what I just spoke about is about values. Values are, it's like roots. So I will be doing a separate series on values. You will understand why it is needed. You'll have to be rooted with values, whether you're in your family, or whether you're working as a team outside, or as a community. It is important wherever you find people, you're interacting with people for a particular goal. It is important to have that value system, code of honor. Okay, because that's what binds you really well, and you and the other person. Now, the third important thing is stress relief. Creative habits can be a form of emotional release and relaxation. Very, very important, because that's where you find yourself switching over from the overwhelm of numbers, because our education system, our entire government system, political system, everything is driven very analytical, very evaluative, and calculated risk and all that. The adventure part or the passion part of it, or something to do with which sparks that genius out of you, that brilliance out of you, is missing a great deal in our education system. So we are not at fault, but the system needs to be upgraded, needs to be changed. But you just cannot wait for the system to change, right? Because our life is ticking. It is important to work through our ways. And how can you do it at your individual level? We're not going to fight with the government rules. We're not going to fight with anybody. We're just going to pay our own wave, in order to, correct the due course of our own actions in our life, and also people around us. You start with your family, and then let it grow with your team outside in your organization, and then let that go as a community. Then the last one is going to increase your productivity, because creative habits fuel problem solving abilities. It is going to improve that efficiency also, right? The more you are concentrating, if you can have the blend in a week, like, it used to be 6 days a week, having one day as a holiday, right? Now people are churning towards 4 days a week, which means that the rest of the 3 days, they're going to be rejuvenating themselves, because they got to be prepared for the next week. So if you can put it as a seasonal, everything is seasonal, right? Everything is circular. Uh, you know, Seasons are circular, like one after the other. And it keeps going in cycles, day, night, week after week, month after month. Similarly, if you can make your routines also creatively that way. So in a week, have a detox and concentrate on something digital detox I'm talking about. In fact, detox at any sense, even if you want to detox from people, from conversations, from transactions, just be away from all that for one day. Maybe do your spirituality practices, or concentrate on your arts, hobbies, passion. 1 or 2 days in a week, it is important for you to give that necessary break for your brain. That way you will see your productivity gets increased. And the upcoming norm, or I think it is already in current market, that the trend of 4 weeks, 4 days a week, working day, 4 working days a week, that pattern has come in. So imagine the rest of the 3 days, people will do what? But please, I really hope that social media doesn't take over that 3 days. It should be really a break time where you're sparking these genius, that right brain activities. Then about some disadvantages when we are trying to build a skill or a talent, because we are talking about brain, it's a muscle that we shouldn't overdo any of this. So first of all, you need to understand For you to bring anything as a habit, it takes discipline. Building habits requires time and consistency. Only then the efficiency can kick in. So you need to give that necessary time and sustain it, stick to it. Then risk of routine, if not refreshed, creative habits can become mundane. Very, very important. Even creative habits, if you keep dwelling on it, it is going to become an autopilot for you. So you need to, that is why you need to break. You need to break that cycle. It has to be every day, you need to also break it. Sometimes, you can go for deep focus mode and give it a break. Work in chunks. That itself is giving you the necessary break for a daily activity. And then for a weekly activity, have one day as something that you would really like to pursue the right brain activity. It could be music, it could be arts, it could be some hobbies, it could be outdoor, nature, or swimming, or any cardio, anything which you feel like, or for that matter, volunteering, or just contemplating with nature, taking a fresh air, sun on you, and walking, playing with your child, playing outside. So anything random, or cooking. So something which don't need your reference back to mobile or social media or screen time. Very, very important. Okay. Then risk of routine. Again, if not refreshed, then it becomes a mundane. Then the third one is overcommitting. You may feel pressured to stay creative, leading to burnout because you are building the skill set. That is why I always say take a blend of logic also. And if you remember the logic brain, what did it say? You need to have a structure and planning. So if you can plan that cycles that break, then your creativity can also work along with you. You don't get into the exhaustion mood at all. Then time investment. Building creative habits may take time away from other priorities. Definitely, yes, because you need that focused time. And that too, when within, yesterday and previous episodes, we have seen beautifully how you can boost your creativity in various other ways. So we saw that if you can put yourself in a structured, set your boundaries in a structured environment and then work on your, creativity, that is a different level of genius. But if you are going to give your brain so many options and working on it will only make you scatter. Your time, focus, and energy will be scattered. You won't be able to focus. So by then the creativity will be lost because there's a time element also in it. The more you do, I mean, we are humanly could possibly work only that much. Your brain will get drained. All right. So, be aware of these cons like disadvantages. And why are creative habits important? It is a loss if you don't have it, because without creative habits, you may struggle to access that inspiration and stay stuck. Benefit if you have it is because when you can have the creative habits, it's going to make your transactions very easy so that you can generate fresh ideas and face that problems in a different angle, not the mundane set of thinking. You need fresh angle. Maybe there's a different route towards that problem. Maybe you're not thought through yet, but if you can activate that thinking process of working towards that angle and having that optimism is a skill competency of EQ, which I will be um, soon be publishing in the emotional intelligence competency in a storified format. You will figure out how optimism helps you in creating options, in helping your creativity to boost. And then statistically, what I want to say is 80% of highly successful people cultivate daily habits that is enhancing the creativity, right? It could be visual, it could be auditory, it could be kinesthetic, that is in inaction, or sensory. Either ways, it definitely helps. So for who it is needed? One is professional, for somebody who's seeking to infuse the consistent creativity to their work by building creative habits in their, work environment. Very much needed. Parents who want to cultivate love for creativity in their children, they can find valuable strategies to induce that creative habits. Naturally, we are creative, right? We get to, whether we like it or not, we kind of develop that skill after we get when you have a toddler at home, you're bound to be very creative. You will become playful, you will start talking like them, Your tone will change. Maybe whatever they like, you will start also liking. The storytelling can happen. The very first thing I found myself as a parent was I started listening to stories and telling stories. For me to tell stories, I have to listen to stories a lot. And then one fine day, I thought, okay, I'll become a storyteller. I'll pick up a certification on that. You see, my left brain was telling me to get certified instead of, going on wandering and then learn the techniques of making everything as a story. So that's how I bumped into storytelling clubs, and then I got myself some, certification from a, prestige institute, and I did work on those activities. And by the time my child grew and her interest got into different areas. So wherever we take her, whatever classes we have taken her, sometimes me and my husband also venture into it, right? That creativity can catch up for us also. So as a parent, it is a given. You'll have to exercise that muscle. And as an entrepreneur, it is like when you are seeking to fuel that innovation into your daily lives, which can find inspiration in order to develop creativity, creative habits. The one best thing that I would suggest is, get into a mission, have a purposeful, driven goals, either for your business or for your life. That will give you that that necessary creativity for your business to be driven. You will take thoughtful decisions. Your actions will be intentional, and you will have that satisfaction, even though the results have not come as per your expectations. That quality of life, that quality of you seeking things and walking towards that will be higher. That way you are infusing, different ways and means to handle that problems. Again, you should be aware that you shouldn't be stuck with the same creativity also, because that itself can become mundane. And students, why not? Students seeking to enhance their learning and problem solving skills can benefit greatly from incorporating these creative habits into their routines. Not just creativity, there are a lot of other tools available. Whatever we are discussing, it is also relevant to students. It doesn't mean when I address a mom, or a high stake professional, it doesn't mean that it may not be relevant for you, because you may eventually be stepping into it. So that could be a guidance for you. Or right now, however it is in your transactions of life, in your studies or in your career, you may want to adapt the same strategies into your field and see whether it's working or not. All right. And if you're a student out there, give me a smiley. Tell me that you're watching my episodes. I'll, maybe bring a lot of strategies relevant to you also in future episode. But you'll have to let me know. Okay. Actionable steps. Now, this is the action point shooter. Now, I'm going to be giving you enough tips and strategies where you're going to develop your left brain and right brain. Okay. The first is create creative habits in your personal life. How you can do first, maybe this tip will work for everybody. Start journaling. Keeping a daily journal to document that thoughts and ideas throughout the day can help you, first of all, recollect everything and keep it as a repository. Okay. If you just imagine, if you can collect one idea every day for 100 days you're doing, you'll have a repository of 100 ideas. Okay. You'll feel happy about it, and you will start feeling that confident, that you can generate ideas, and it will become habit for your brain. And then hobby exploration. Engage in creative hobbies to foster imagination and self-expression. Very, very important. It could be anything random other than what your routine is. It could be anything. Just picking up trash, picking up leaves, going a walk in the garden, or just be in the garden, exploring the bushes and leaves, trying to understand. There are a lot of apps which has come, which tells you what kind of plants are there, and you can start looking at it, observing it, and start, reading about plants. And or you can just go for pottery making, something to do with your hands, you know, kinesthetically, and you can also feel it. Or just go for scuba diving, or something that you can just go on a ride, travel, just observe the nature, take a hot tub bath, um, and that can rejuvenate, or massaging, or it can be random. Okay, as long as you're away from the screen time, and as long as you're away from the routine of things what you're doing, that will enable this spark of creativity. Okay, so it has to be in cycles, like fix a particular time, either a week or a fortnight or monthly. So it is very important to do that way. Self reflection, set aside time for the introspection to spark that personal growth and creativity. Every day, 10 minutes, if you can bring that habit, reflect on it, have that daily rituals. Okay. Next one is, how do you build a creative habits in your business? So first step is free thinking sessions. The previous episode we saw you can create the idea labs. Similarly, free thinking, free will, you know, just talk about, you can brainstorm, or dedicate time for unstructured brainstorming to inspire new business strategies. Of course, it should be focused, right? We're not gossiping there. Sometimes gossiping does help, but most of the time it dilutes. Okay. If you need a laugh, if you just need to vent out, that window time for you to just emotionally process a lot of things, if you can find that like-minded people, we're not harmful, that you shouldn't catch up with that and then you go dwell on it, but it's just for a break time, then that is good. But as it is, this free thinking session is very, very important to instigate that. Okay, a lot of self-discovery strategies also you can work on it. But as a team, when you're working, impromptu brainstorming sessions, you'll be wondered to see what amount of brilliance that each brain styles can bring in. Because I'm associated with an institute I got certified in, and they have an AI-driven, globally accepted psychometric report. That's where the brain talents, brain style reports are picked up, and they have a 8 combination of brain styles across, the ages, across the gender, culture. So there are 8 different brain styles with a different combination. So it is not just one way is the highway. You will find different opinions from different people, and it is nice to venture into it. Because for creativity, if you remember well, when we did the first episode on creativity, what you need is judgment free zone and questioning the assumption, questioning the existing conventional method. So you need to constantly question your own assumptions and other people's. Okay, not to, arrogantly drive through this out of ego, but in order to raise curiosity within yourself and others, and also discover some new learning on that way. And then cross-cultural collaboration, very, very important, cross-department collaboration. Encourage interdisciplinary teamwork to generate innovative solutions. Because I just said, different people have different brain styles. Imagine if you can bring your team, talking from the technology team, talking to the finance team. Both are different tangential brain, right? Because technological driven people always, software people always have to think creatively. And these finance people are always work within the structure, right? So they are left brain oriented. So now if they both infuse, a lot could happen. Similarly, infusing your ideas with that of your other companies, that will also help. And how do you apply in your personal life? Your own family is a team. I always suggest that start with your family. Charity happens within the family, right? So you can bring, because family itself is very dynamic, and you'll have different age group, different brain styles, likes, dislikes, and it's a most relaxed environment, but yet you can bring in some structured discussions on it. You will, you will, you will definitely find. I mean, how many of you have felt that the more you approach your children for some ideas, and if you can open a dialogue or open that conversation in the dinner table, any challenges, anything which is troubling you or troubling anybody in the family, you will see a lot of brilliant idea comes in, right? I always suggest my daughter not just approach one way of thinking. She can use me, she can use her dad, she can use her grandparents, she can talk to her uncle, aunts, their friends, their own teachers. They can use many ways to collect solutions, collect information, and then assess it and then pick up the right solutions for their problems. Because Even though it's a process, it might take time, but then the habit has to kick in, because we are essentially talking about creating creative habits. And then idea incubation, implement a system for nurturing and developing creative thoughts. That is also important. You need to have that kind of a dedicated either idea labs or dedicated sessions where, or I just told you that if you can prepare a repository of, in case you're into business, in business itself, there are different aspects of business, spokes of business that you need to take care. So if you can generate one idea in one area, maybe it's marketing or a sales or customer journey or innovation of products, creating products. So if you can generate one idea each day, imagine how much of such great ideas can be implemented. All you have to do is just refer it and make sure that it is relevant. And if you have the necessary resources, just go and implement it. Then I just spoke about family life, right? So how are you going to create creative habits there? Family art projects. Engage creative, activities with children. Anyway, we will do. As a parent, we naturally are into that level of exploration with when it comes to kids, right? Because they need it. Their brain needs that spark. They just cannot be boxed up, right? So it's best the storytelling. Here we are. I just spoke about storytelling, creating family narratives to encourage creative thinking and bonding. Well, this also gives me another angle that if you can instill value systems, if you can talk about your own family members' success stories, be it any problem, any challenges, if you can quote what amount of success stories or what amount of experiences in your own family have had. Maybe you can refer elders in your family like parents or grandparents or your siblings. There could be a lot of stories that you can always result, and stories always sells, be it for children or for adult. So this is this is the most I would say easiest hack, that you can use stories to kick in that creative brain, whether it is in a kid or an adult. So use those hacks. And exploration days. So plan for that regular outing. I just mentioned that it is important to give that brain a fresh scene, fresh aspect, fresh air, fresh people, you know. Only then, sometimes hearing the same voice, sometimes looking at the same people, the brain gets sick, right? Sickened. So it needs to come out of it. So it is very important to have that one day outing, right? Which can build curiosity and creativity. It is not to just binge, eat, or spend, money unintentionally. All right, that's not going to be giving a creative habits. And then comes daily journaling for creativity. This is a beautiful hack. So what you can do it, you can split it. Morning sometime, you can just going to write 3 pages, conscious thoughts upon waking up. If you can do that, wonderful if you have time. Otherwise, you can do that in night. Either ways, if you can have 10 minutes aside for writing journal, it itself is a healing process. And the more you start writing your goals aspect, intentional goals, then it can be a technique for manifestation too. Because morning and nighttime has its own effect. And midday reflection, maybe just jot down observations and ideas. Whenever you get ideas, you start writing down. Or whenever you feel stuck with some emotions and feelings, you can start writing what are your feelings, emotional state there. So in my community, because I'm teaching about emotional intelligence, we take care of our emotional well-being also. So we do have certain practices which we do a check-in every day. All right. Mindful activities for creativity is daily walks. Okay, take walks without distractions to clear your mind and stimulate creativity. Just observe. Do not go with your. Sometimes I do um, walk by putting AirPod. Sometimes it is for music, or it is to learn. Either ways, either you do this way, or sometimes I just keep my all the gadgets at home and just go out for walk and cycling. So this itself is a great thing, and sometimes even swimming. So this boost and gives that necessary break to my brain. So that's the first thing. And whether it is boosting creativity or not will depend on the action that we are doing after that. Sometimes, even during bath, you may get a lot of ideas, good ideas. How many of you have realized during walks, during bath, during some, in deep conversation with somebody, you might have some ideas. So you will have to start taking down all those, right? Sometimes in deep sleep, people get idea. I've heard about certain things from successful people that they do get ideas in their deep sleep, and immediately they'll wake up and then start writing now. So that is why you need to have a journal. And if I don't find a pen and note somewhere, I always have my phone notes. That way I use my gadgets very, to my advantage. Then meditation, of course, it has its own benefits. In order to give that brain that kind of spiritual energy is very, very important. Sensory exploration, engaging your senses fully in everyday activities to spark creative thinking. The first thing that you can do is active listening. If you can just master this, if you can just actively listen for 10 minutes to someone, I'm challenging you, that itself is a big thing for now. Because of social media invaded in our life, our attention span is getting reduced greatly. So if you can start with active listening with your child, it'll have huge benefits both the side. Okay, it'll create a trust and bonding, reassurance. You will start addressing their needs and emotions and wants even more carefully. And it gives them calm, composure, and reassurance basically from you that you have listened to them. Most of the time, our problems will get solved if we have been heard and understood. So if you can, take this one particular exercise itself, your right brain is activated. Okay. All right. So how many of you are loving this? Give me the love symbol in the comment box. I'll check your comments later. And setting time for play. So I don't have to necessarily say, because playtime activities or bundles of them available in social media, doodling sessions, free form drawing is very important to encourage the spontaneous creativity, and then improve improvisation on games, creative challenges. So I keep this puzzle. I like to have that, password, what do you call it? Crosswords puzzles. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I do have this kind of temporary, where I can just, it's like a pocket crossword. So it just sheet by sheet with the date. So in case I don't have a space crunch, and then I'll figure out something like this mini stuffs, which can give me the, a break, necessary break for my brain. So please do not rely on any apps, because that again is your screen time, right? Take that pen, the format of taking down in a, on a notes and then having a pen, the traditional ones definitely helps. And writing itself is a healing process. And observing your environment. I just said during your commute also, start noticing the small details about colors, sounds, people, design, car, people love cars, right? And for creating that new ideas to come in. And sometimes during the lunch break, observe that interactions and scenes between people. Instead of you involving in talking, just give that break and actively observe. An evening reflection, review and note interesting observations from throughout the day. So that gives a very calm, composed, it's a it's a very healing process. Okay. If you can just observe, and also, as the picture shows, if you can draw, that's a different thing. But you may just observe and start taking a note, or even without taking a note, just by observing itself, because you're giving a break for your mouth, and you're keeping your sensory, auditory functions very high. So that is very important. Then joining a creative community, online groups or local meetups and workshops like this. Okay. This is my interesting session. My favorite personality today is A.R. Rahman, Academy Award winners and a lot of national award, Indian composer who's pretty famous for music, both combining the Eastern and Western music. And he is my favorite personality because we've been watching him grow. So in the music industry, in the cinema industry, so his music itself stands out, and he is very, very famous for his night shift working. So he's a night owl, and that is his music brings a brilliance, creativity, in an essence that I'll tell you how he is, doing that. Because when I did a study on how this person is using his brain skills, especially with creativity, there are a lot of pointers came in. Those are all technical points, but then as an audience, like as a fan, when I hear his music, right, it is totally different. First is different. That is a word comes to my mind. It's not the mundane one, right? Every time he gives a different genre, and every time he gives the different play of instruments, and most of them are very fresh. Sometimes some songs are like, you may not like it at the first note, but then the more you kind of listen to it, it takes you a different level. And few songs, one time, the very first time, it catches your attention and interest. So such is the genius. So I've got a similar genius in our industry, and that person, that maestro in the music industry, a long time in the music industry, and he has also created evergreen songs. So it's like, if you're from South India, give me a smiley and tell me who am I mentioning about. So these two personalities are like my two eyes. So I just cannot get rid of one eye and then say which one is greater. So when it comes to A.R. Rahman, his creative habits in music are structured practice. So he maintains the disciplined routine to hone his technical skills. And he explores unconventional sounds, blending traditional music outrageously. And leadership, he inspires collaborations by leading with his own creative vision. Yes, he has a school. He is the youngest, uh, you know, musician, composer in the industry when he, entered into this cinema industry. And after then, he became so very famous in order to, he introduced many things, which is outstanding. He, in fact, collaborated with the North Indian music. He fused all that, Carnatic music with the Hindustani, Western classical, and Kawaii also. So these are something which is outstanding and very fresh. So for us, when we listen as a fan, I always get, goosebumps. So what kind of music? By the time we want to be very curious to understand what has he done, by the time we would have rewind and played that song for 100,000 times. So that level of intricacies is there in his creation. Okay. And innovation in music composition also. So he, blends the gender. He does that continuously, reinvents, and technological integration. He I think he was the one who brought that electronic devices, the computer made music, right? And cultural fusion. So he blends that Eastern, Western, all that unique soundscapes, and he goes full on with all these singers, right? From North, they'll come down to South and they sing in the South Indian language. It'd be very nice and very sweet to hear. At the same time, all the young people, musicians from South, they have been exposed to North music. A lot of collaboration happens, and he's an Oscar winner, and the entire nation respects him. Okay, we always look for his name to appear everywhere. Right? What does it say? So his the impact from this personality says that focus and discipline in creativity is important. You got to set your goals clearly, define that specific creative objects for each session, right? Each transaction, and eliminate distractions. Create that focused environment conducive to creative work only. That is why ARMN works in night, because that's where there is no disturbance. So it is needed for that artist. For the creativity to happen, there has to be silence, right? And practicing regularly. The consistency is what is giving you that momentum. That is what will help you bring that brain, that reassurance that you gather a lot of backup, that you've been practicing every day. So you know your notes, you know your techniques, you know the system, you know the routine, and then you are freeing up your brain to concentrate on something which is really very important. Because if you have not taken care of the basics, then the brain is pulled unnecessarily. The effort and focus is being pulled out. So it is very important to give that space for the brain to act on a creative way. And empathy in creative process. That audience connection is important. With in Rahman's case, he connects deeply with his audience, that emotions process. So it is very important when you are building the creative process, please make sure that you take the emotions as data. And collaborative empathy also, understanding, evaluating team members' perspectives, and enhancing that creative output. It is not always from your side because your brain style maybe, you know, gives you only one way of input. But only when you collaborate, when you take in from other people, one, you're able to listen and then encourage and respect other people's. And then the more options you get is when you can pick up the right decision. That is where your creativity happens. And emotional storytelling. So you're going to use empathy to create more resonate and impactful artistic narratives. So these are not just for A.R. Rahman kind of people. This is important as a parent also. Try to see this. If you can instill emotions in your conversation, if you can direct your conversations towards what your feelings are, if you can start saying, I feel this way, instead of, yesterday you did this and it was wrong. So, doing your spouse conversation also, if you can say what you're feeling, then it adds value to the conversation. It brings down the attention and focus because we are objectively dealing with it. Because it's my feeling. There is no uh, you know there is no conflict about it. There's no other judgment is needed because I felt. And if you can start that way, then it reduces the intensity. You're not going to attack the other person, but instead you're calling attention for them. Similarly, you need to be able to understand their feeling also. It's not about only yourself, right? Because they will also have emotions. And if you can change the narratives at every conversation, whether it is with your child or with your elders in the family, it is important. And even in your business with your customer, if you start talking, that's why in the previous slide I said, if you can address your problems or your conversations, even your creating product or messaging in marketing campaigns, if you can address it through your mission as to why you're doing what you're doing, the entire business angles, you may have a vision and only then you would have started something, right? So be aligned with that. And if you can bring that narratives in every other transaction that you do, whether it is creating launching a new product or conceptualizing the product before that, or taking survey from your customer and creating some loyalty program or something to do with your customer journey. If you can attach your mission and tell them why you're doing what you're doing, then it's going to be really strong. Even when you're conducting a webinar or a presentation in your boardroom meeting, if you can start with the vision and mission. If you don't have a separate vision and mission for your team, at least borrow the vision of the organization or institute that you are related to, then the narrative is entirely different. Try this out and tell me, after you finish the live, go back to the usual comments and then put it as a comment. So I'll give you a shout out. Okay. Then how do you overcome creative blocks? Now, all said and done, people will still have some blocks. Let's see what are those. First of all, you need to identify the block. Recognize the source of your creative stagnation, why you're not able to be creatively thinking. It could be many things. It could be a reason of overwhelm for a busy mom or even for students, right? So many things they have to, keep up. And high stake professionals, they are running with high paced, market competition and their goals of the company. And business entrepreneurs is a different ball game. They have to be at par in the market. So it is a fast paced environment for everybody. Even with a full time mom, there's a constant expectation. There has to be a constant activity, but in that overwhelm, maybe we are not able to think also. But unless you identify the block, then you cannot approach solutions. So once you identify, you're going to change that environment, shift your surroundings to stimulate fresh perspectives. It is a must. That's just how it is. If you cannot eliminate distractions, focus cannot come. If you do not know how to say no, if you do not know how to set your boundaries, it is very difficult to get that focus. If you cannot focus, then creativity cannot come in. You may have time to focus your mundane thing because it is already set and done. All you have to do is just adhere to the rules. But if you want to create something new, your own life, if you're fed up with something in your life, it is keep happening, you want to break that cycle, it is important to think otherwise. These are hacks, okay? Take a note of it. Embrace constraints. You're going to use limitations as catalyst for your innovative thinking. Go back to the previous episode if you haven't watched. I would have explained this even more, okay? Balancing that structure and spontaneity. That is where left brain and right brain is the blend happening. And this essentially what we are talking is the midbrain activity. You're going to schedule creativity, set regular times for creative work to build consistency. Similarly, like every day when you want to work, you know the goals. The previous day itself, start writing your to-do goals. It is for either for your kitchen or for your home or for your project or for your office team, whatever it is. If you can prepare the previous night, the next day morning, you're very clear what course of action you have to take. So that itself will give you that momentum. And when you know what you have to do, then you're going to fix time, particular time, say 9 to 11, you're going to do this. And that time, do not have any distractions. Keep away your phone, close the door if you want, prepare the people around you. If you're working in an office, just make sure that rest of the notifications doesn't come, or put a do not disturb thing, or whatever, do whatever creatively is important to get that focus. Flexible exploration, allow room for unexpected inspiration and detours. It is important to have that buffer I told you in the beginning. Otherwise you'll be hit by surprise, shock, and you will not be able to bounce back quickly. Adaptive routines. Adjust creative habits as needed to maintain that freshness and relevance. If you are stuck with some routine, then again we are going to go back to the basics, asking the assumptions as to why, and then identify the block. Only then you can clear it. Okay. Otherwise, it stagnates. Maybe there is a underknown uh, fear. You need to figure out whether it is an emotional aspect or it is logically you don't have resources. Maybe you don't have the technology for you to move forward, or maybe you don't have the budget to work on it, or you don't have people to support. You need some teammate. So it could be logical also. Sometimes it could be emotional resistance within you or outside people. You need to figure out, then you can balance it. And you're going to integrate technology also. Creativity apps are there, AI assistants, you can take it. And then virtual reality, where you can create that emotion. These are big levels, but this is also possible. This is how successful industries are doing. But overall, said and done, if you want to sustain that long term effect of creative growth in you, what you're going to do is continuous learning. You're going to regularly acquire new skills and knowledge to fuel that creativity, and reflect and adapt. The moment you reflect is when you will understand what are your patterns, what are your mistakes. It could be from you, for others. Then you will figure out how you can adapt and correct your due course of action. Without that, you will just go dash into the same way of doing it. Then there's no point of creating new ideas. It won't occur. Okay. So for optimal results, it is important to periodically review and adjust it. Be willing to adjust, don't be rigid. If not, then you'll have to question the rigidity again. Where is it coming from? Constantly questioning your own bias, your other people bias, and your own emotional state, resistance, constantly questioning the status quo is also important. Okay. Community engagement, stay connected with the creative network for ongoing support and inspiration. Huge missing element in our progress. Especially if you are a digital entrepreneur, this is the best thing that you can do is maintain that accountability group. You catch hold of somebody who is in the same line of business, because you're going to be working all alone. And sometimes you just cannot get that enough inspiration by your own self. All the time you cannot be intrinsically motivated. Even if you're working for an organization at home, it is important to have that kind of association going on. Maybe you'll have arrange for a physical meetup or talk to somebody. Okay. This is for somebody who's in a digital mode, but in your office you do have people around you, so you'll have to figure out, maybe have a coffee table conversations, or have a networking sessions um, during the office time, or after the office time, during the break times. And for people at home, right? Obviously, we are very good with bringing friendships and maintaining the friendships, and also do that network. What is needed for the family goals? It is just not for the went out, but catch hold of the like-minded people who are serving your goals, family needs. If you have a toddler and you're a toddler mom, find out a toddler mom only and talk to them, because you guys will understand the common problems. But if you're going and talking to a mom who has a college kid, maybe their experience can help you, but then you need that support. And even if you're going for a gym, right, it is best to have that somebody who's tagging along. If you are a self-motivated person, nothing like it. Okay. But if you do need some accountability, the best thing is to have a self-accountability, because you remember what A.R. Rahman says, structure and discipline is important. That's the first step. If you cannot pump in that discipline without self-accountability, if you are going to depend on that accountability from outside only, then it's not going to work. Even when you see, we all are business people, digital business people. For me, I'm sitting here in this corner of the world. It was earlier difficult for me to even talk about my problems because nobody will understand. But now people are opening up and the market is shaping really good. Anywhere in the world, you can work online. And now I have people to talk about what is in my market and what is in my mind, what are the problems that I have as a mother, as a working mother, as a woman, as a business person, as a mom. So, a lot of things are churning up right now. Earlier, it was very difficult. So I was a self-dependent person. But then things didn't accelerate the way I wanted because there was a lack of outside support too. It is important to have that lean on. Either it can be from your family or from outside. But certain things you just cannot expect the family to give you that support because maybe it's not in their zone of understanding. But largely, you can involve your family as well. You know, have that open conversation and have that empathy instilled in your families, the value system. So anything and everything you can practice at home. Okay. But having that external accountability group is very, very essential to accelerate your growth. Any successful person, if you kind of ask them, either they will have a coach or a mentor who's guiding them, or they will have an accountability team to work with. That being said, how do you measure this creative growth? Generally, idea generation, number of ideas you're able to create. Is it weekly, daily, whatever it is? And then skill improvement. How how much are you developing your skills, whether it is technical or personal development skills, soft skills? If you are able to commit yourself to watch these 100 episodes, that means you're developing your skill development. Life skills, these are life skills, right? So if you can commit, just say in the comment box, I commit to listen to 100 episodes of Unlocking Emotional Mastery. That itself is a skill development for you. And project completion, if you can complete something, so that means you were able to be successful on creating that habits. So you can model the same thing. If something has worked for you, you're just going to model it for the other ones. But you need to have a review and fix that frequency. Either it is daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. If you can measure this way, go back, review, and do the course correction, whatever is needed. And if you can model that, bring that cycles of review, execution, conceptualization, everything in cycles, then it is wonderful way that you will find yourself snowballing and having a compounding effect in whatever you want to do. All right. At this point of time, there will be a lot of questions in you, right? How am I doing with time management? What kind of mindfulness I have? And how am I engaging myself playfully? Am I even creatively thinking? All that question can be answered. I will give you a tool called EQ quiz bundles. Okay. Not just for creativity, I'll also give you for all the other talents we will be discussing in this 100 episodes. So for all that talents, you will have a 10 question format. Each talent, you will get a questionnaire with 10 questions with three wrong answers and one right answer smartly. Okay. It's a very tricky options also. It's not a very easy option. So by then you finish your 10 questions, you will also find for each questions, 2, 3 tips extra for you to develop that, particular section. So you will have easily 20 to 30 tips and also with the right option. The scores will also be given to you. It's all personally published. It will not be seen for outside. Whatever you are giving, whichever email ID you are giving, that will be published to that. So if you want to take such kind of assessment right away, you can share your learnings, your stories, or simply share top 3 learnings, whatever you have learned today. If you can inspire us and put that in the comments, so that means you earn this right to get 100% free for you. Otherwise, it is charged, it is out there for public for a cost, but I'm giving it to you free of cost. If you can take that one step of creatively telling us as to what really worked for you in when it comes to creativity, whether you're a parent or you're employee or a business entrepreneur, irrespective of any aspects of life. If something has worked for you, give us that one hack, one strategy, and that will inspire us. Or simply just share the top three learnings, whatever you've learned today. And with that, I will be able to give you the 100% free coupon code to access, make you access for all these 100 episodes of quizzes. Okay. It's a golden mine that you don't have to go anywhere, search anything. Everything will be there at your fingertips. Okay. Not just that. Apart from this, accessing the quiz bundles, you will also have a EQ masterclass. If you want to fast track your learning, that you're saying, I want to learn more about creativity and all the other components, there's going to be a masterclass for women exclusively. I will open up the secrets to approach your brain talents. There are about 18 brain talents we'll be talking. This is the entire series, what we are doing is a comprehensive aspect to it. But over there, I'll bring out one pager report using your AI, using the AI and the tool that can give a one pager report, and you can find your own brain, unique brain styles and brain talents wherever your strengths are, and whatever is the missing element, we can sit and find the gap and fix your goal for you, because you may have a goal. We can understand how these brain talents is going to help you reach that goal, so it will definitely be a fast track. This is very fresh and new perspective, that these are not like personality types or whatever is given in the outside internet. These are supposed to be debriefed only by a certified EQ consultant, whoever is has that expertise to let you know what are all the data points available in that one pager. That with one pager report, I have consulted more than 4 to 5 hours for a single person, because that much data can be brought out in that particular report. So in my masterclass, I'll tell you how to approach all that. Okay. So if you want to fast track that way, otherwise, there are a lot of free resources I'm providing when it comes to emotional intelligence in my YouTube channel. Right now you're watching this, please make sure that you like, subscribe, so that next time, whenever I come online or whenever there is a video published, you'll get notified. And also make sure if you can like it, then it will be a boost for me. And then share it with somebody whom you think it's going to be useful. That'll be a great help. And I'm also doing a podcast. Suppose you're traveling and you're not able to watch this presentation, you can listen to it on the go, on the fly. So that will also let you know point shooter strategies for activating left brain and right brain for these, topics every day. And apart from that, I'm also giving you a learning as to how to develop that EQ competencies. There are 8 competencies that you can develop. Apart from the talents that we will be discussing in 100 days, there are 8 more main competencies that it's like teaching you how to fish. It's up to you, right? But then when I teach you the skill, it is there in you all the time. So that you remember, skill development is also part of creativity growth. So if you learn that skill, and I'm telling in a storyfied format, because storytelling really works. So you'll find that in my Substack platform. Subscribe to it, and apart from that, there are reels, short reels. So there are free resources for you to make use of it, but it is up to you. And also remember, creativity is not for people like Rahman or Michelangelo, or somebody who is very good at arts and drawing and all that. It is needed for everybody. It is needed for me, for you, for even a student who's watching this, or even a kid. Okay, but it necessarily what we are talking is about activating your right brain, and right brain is there activated in everybody, but how much are we using it to the potential? Because it has its own genius, it has its own brilliance, and if you can bring that as a habit, that's the success of this entire series. Okay, I want you to pick up 1 or 2 strategies, whatever you've learned from today. Most importantly, apply that in next 24 hours time. That is when, with this kind of awareness, you're right now, you're opened up your right brain actually by listening actively, by viewing the presentation. Somewhere you're opened up your brain. The curiosity erased, is the awareness is actually kicking in. Do not block it, do not stop it. Immediately apply that. Only then you're actually rewiring. Because rewiring a brain, it's like unlearning, either learning or relearning. Okay. It's going to take a lot of time. But it is possible like this, just coming on a video. I don't know where you are and you do not know me. Just by listening to me for the last 30, 40 minutes, that itself has given you, your brain, a good amount of data. So do not lose this momentum. Immediately apply it within 24 hours time, and you make sure that you rewire your brain. After that, you just have to practice and make it as a habit. Okay. And let me know in the comment box if something has worked for you. I'll be more than happy, and it'll be a boost for me and my creativity.